Welcome to the Claws Out podcast live, not from the Mic'd Up Studios in Parramatta. I'm joined by the two Robs and Gary and Rob Senior. We're just going to do our best tonight. We've already had a couple of technical issues pre-show, but not everything's going to be perfect. It's like going from Mic'd Up playing at Lackey or Campbelltown to playing back at Blackmore or Lidcombe Oval, but we're going to do our best.
Yeah, 100%, mate. At least we're putting out a show. Good to be back in the Red Room. If StreamYard lets us down, you might even get a Red Room rant.
Well, Rob, I was going to say you've been in a foul mood for about a couple of things this week, so I think the Red Room might be right on cue.
Yeah, don't fire me up tonight, mate. Don't fire me up.
Okay, well, we'll save it for later on. But Rob was very fired up about Benji Marshall yesterday, also about a couple of my rants about Campbelltown Stadium, so I'll save that for later. But, Gary, you were out there yesterday. Steve's fallen crook, though. Was that from a dodgy food, or what was it about?
It definitely wasn't dodgy food. I just think he's a bit upset over the loss, so decided to not join us tonight and have a night off.
You had an ambush function at the Sherwood pre-game. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we had Dean Collis come along, had a little bit of a chat with him. We recorded it, so we'll release that later in the week. It was a pretty good turnout. There wasn't a lot of people around the precinct yesterday. But Dean Collis was excellent. Had a really good chat to him, so look out for that later in the week.
Okay, well, the boys are going to be reviewing the West Tigers' loss at Campbelltown yesterday, 36 points to 22 to the Dolphins. Junior, what was your sort of main emotion after that game?
Disappointed with a loss. Always disappointed with a loss, but very, very proud of the boys. I think proud's probably the main emotion out of it. They got everything out of the tank yesterday. They were asked a lot from Benji with the rotations that were used, and I was proud of the effort from every single one of them.
Rob, your emotions, and it was more Dolphins winning the game, or did we lose the game?
I just think ultimately we were outclassed, Eddie. As Rob Jr. said, I think the effort was absolutely wholehearted. Unlike a lot of games, I actually felt we played with purpose and we played with a specific plan. You could see that from a couple of the tries. I think the difference in the game was just the bench, boys. We didn't have a bench, and we had a coach that was kind of reluctant to use the bench. Granted, we had a couple of injuries in the outside backs, but anyone that wasn't proud of that effort yesterday and how they played, like you go through every set of six, like we were running with vigor even when we should have had no energy left in the tank. So, look, very happy with the effort, but it's just I'm a little bit dirty on just how this season's going because, especially with what happened in the game yesterday, I just feel like we're burdened with a lot of sort of poor luck this year.
Gary, your emotions and your overall take on that game?
Yeah, it's a tough one because I agree with the boys. The effort was 100% there. But there was times where I thought that was a game we were close to getting on top of, and it would have been nice to come away with a win because I think a win yesterday would have set us up nicely for that run towards the semi-finals. So it would have been nice to get away with a win, but I can't fault the effort. I can't fault the desire from the players. But I think the players did all they could yesterday.
Junior, I'm not sure if I put this in the rundown, so you could pass it to Senior if I didn't, but did you have a Tiger moment from yesterday?
It wasn't a specific moment. It was more so, obviously, Jerome had 3 or 4 try assists. I think just seeing his reactions after the try assists, it looked like he had his swagger back. It's 2 weeks in a row now. Safe after, same after his try, like he was effort again yesterday. But yeah, I think just our captain having his swagger back, that put a smile on my face.
Senior, your moment?
Rob Jr. must be related to me because that's exactly what I took out of the game. I just think if Jerome Luai brings that swagger, that attitude, that belief, he makes players around him better. We saw in the first try, even though Strathfield had a lot of work to do himself, just that cutout ball that he did, the grubber kick for Sione Fainu as a lead runner. And the funniest part for me just post-game was, I'm not going to just name call, but the people that are criticising Jerome Luai after that game, they're just never going to be happy. It's just going to be a Jerome bash every week, but he played like a captain as he did last week as well. So I think we've got our captain back, boys. Appy was great. Buller was great. The regulars are great. We're just missing some troops, and it just really hurts because the effort's there from everyone.
Gaz, you're like a Tiger moment?
Look, I agree with the boys. Jerome Luai was absolutely outstanding yesterday. If we get that football from him over the next 18 months, we're going to miss him when he heads to PNG. That was an outstanding play by him yesterday. But I'm going to be a little bit negative, and I'm going to give my like a tiger moment to someone who keeps making the same similar sort of silly mistakes despite having a really good game yesterday, time and time again. And my like a tiger moment goes to Pole dropping that ball over, trying to score. The amount of times he's having a fantastic game and coming up with one crucial error each week, that's something he needs to fix up. And it's so Tiger-like for a guy to have such a great game and then kind of take it away when he had a real opportunity and the side had a real opportunity to get themselves on the front foot in that game.
I'm hoping to be on with Adel afterwards for coach's report, barring any technical issues. But Junior, Adel doesn't like talking about turning points, but there were a couple of big momentum changes in that game. Gary mentioned that Pole drop over the line, but there were a couple late in that first half. I think Jerome maybe got pulled up for a forward pass, or Jerome went over for what clearly wasn't a forward pass, and Jock Madden potentially taken off the field for an HIA. Could that have been a penalty? Was that a turning point?
I think it's definitely a penalty. If you look at the standard that's been set by the NRL all year with protecting playmakers and their passing late at the line and things like that, he definitely got hit late. It was a head clash that got him in the head, but that's been a penalty every week. And the disappointing thing for me is when we're seeing the replay and then the crowd goes nuts about it and they've got the time to review it, we still don't get it. Look, I'm not going to blame yesterday's loss on refereeing calls. I thought the refereeing calls were bad for both teams, but they're the things that you want to go your way that just didn't for us yesterday. And yeah, they do change the momentum of the game. I mean, I don't know if Jerome grounded that ball off that forward pass, but if he did, you're going into halftime 16-6 up rather than 12-10 down. So yeah, they're big changes.
I feel like, Senior, that's been a bit of a habit this year, is occasionally dominating those first halves, but not having the scoreboard to show for it.
Yeah, again, I know you make your own luck. I still think we're really unlucky yesterday. You're talking about turning points. There are multiple ones, good and bad. One that should have been a good one was Appy Coruscant putting a grubber kick in for Terrell May, and only the goalpost stops Terrell May from scoring. That's a try next to the post. Get that converted and you're up 12-0. Ultimately, I think the turning point was a pass from Appy that was a little bit in front of Lanyon, who dropped the ball, and the Dolphins go away, end up scoring. But if you're talking about negative like a Tiger moments, Eddie, I mean, it's conceding a try 5 minutes before and after halftime. I mean, that was something that was a regular habit, in the last few years, which we kind of ditched. I think it has happened once this year, to my memory anyway, at least. But yeah, look, there are a lot of turning points, but I just think we're desperately unlucky. Even the fact, and look, well done to Heath Mason for the game that he did play. I thought he had a really solid games, but this is the sort of luck we're having. It's the 1 week we didn't put Latu on that bench when Jock was going to get ruled out, just to give him some game time in Cup. And Latu would have come in so handy to have been there and would have helped our rotation a little bit as well. So we're just not having a good year. And then obviously we copped a couple of injuries to boot as well, which seems to be a regular occurrence.
I'm going to talk a little bit, and I might go around the room for this, about, I think, Senior, you mentioned it last week, squeezing the lemon dry. We had, Gary, a lot of probably backup players or fringe players who've had to play long minutes the last couple of weeks. And that was probably, or definitely, a better performance by some of them yesterday, and a collective. We have to be, as a fan base, and I don't want to tell any West Tigers fan what to think. At least I was proud of that effort out there.
Yeah, the effort was fantastic, but when you have a look through the players that played in a big chunk of that game yesterday, we're definitely scraping the bottom of the barrel of first-grade footballers. There's a lot of guys who haven't performed real great for New South Wales Cup this year, and they played big minutes yesterday. So I was very proud of all the guys yesterday. I don't think anyone really had a shocker of a game, but even things like when Heath Mason came on, who I thought played really well, he also had a 3-on-2 overlap at one point and held the ball. Those sort of things kind of let us down a little bit, and was probably the difference between us being able to get away against the depleted Dolphin side and the Dolphins managing to get a win. Just not that quality to finish off some of those moves.
I mean, Junior, Gary said it was a depleted Dolphins side, but we're extremely depleted as well. I think your expectations were quite low on Tuesday. Did the boys exceed them?
They definitely exceeded expectations for me. I looked at some of the comments after the Tuesday show and probably didn't realize how negative I was. But I think that's what makes me so proud about the effort yesterday. I mean, we previewed the show and I was expecting a number to be put on us. Granted, Katoa did get ruled out a day or two before the game, but you can't ask much more, especially considering what happened with Jock going down, Makasini having it come on for Herbert. Like the boys have pointed out numerous times, we've had people at the 2, 3, and 4 defensively on one edge that are New South Wales Cup players. Like last night, it was Herbert, Madden, and Suka, and then when Madden and Herbert go down, it's Makasini and Mason. So it's not like we're getting an upgrade. We don't, like Dad said, we don't have many first graders. So yeah, they definitely exceeded expectations for me.
Don't worry about the red room. It's about to be the red mist because I'm going to be talking about the interchange, Rob. You were not happy with the interchange yesterday, even though we got 2 injuries to outside backs in the first half, one of them being our halfback. But did Benji Marshall make a couple of mistakes there with his interchange?
I can't say if they're mistakes, guys. What I can say is I'm really not happy with the amount of minutes our starting forwards are being forced to produce. I think that is going to come back to bite us at some stage. I feel like there's going to be another 50-point hiding on the cards, not because of anything other than the fact that they're just simply worn out. We saw how we needed the bye, and I just think it's happening again. I know that there were 2 outside backs that came on, but we could all see that, the boys were wilting, and yet we still put on a lightweight. I know Lanyon can play lock or hooker, but we put like a third non-big man on the field when they were getting on top again. I just think Benji probably needed to pull the trigger. If he's got no faith in Murray and Gaia, just leave him at home. That's 2 weeks in a row that, they've worn their kit and they don't need it. I understand that he doesn't give Gaia a go. I can live with that. I think Murray kind of deserves a second chance. But it just burns me that, you said squeezing all the juice out of the lemon. I actually called it squeezing all the juice out of the orange. But yeah, it just hurts that we're giving it everything, and I think it's going to come back to bite us. It might be next week. It could be against St George, and everyone's going to say, "Oh, we played shit or we were flat." I don't care how light the duties are at training during the week. There's a certain amount of football you can play and play to the highest level. And like I said, I just think some of the forwards are getting overplayed. We need to buy a back rower and a front rower before June 30, or this season's gone. We're not going to get everyone back that we want. And that's just what really bugs me the most about how this season's going, because we're just so unlucky that these injuries are hurting us and we have 0 bench. And I promise you, if we had any semblance of a normal bench where you got 2 big men, a dummy half, and an outside back or something like that, we win that game yesterday. The Dolphins made so many errors in the first half, and we didn't capitalise, as Gary said. And it's just a missed opportunity because the Dolphins were missing half a dozen players as well.
I think you saw that, Rob, yesterday in that game. That one of the last couple of tries from the Dolphins, Terrell May missed a very un-Terrell May-like tackle. He's been outstanding defensively this year. I think they're saying he's missed 8 tackles or something all season. And he missed a tackle that led to a try yesterday just from the minutes he played yesterday. I don't think Benji had a lot of choice yesterday, but 100% it had an impact on especially our middle forwards during that game yesterday.
Well, Junior, I don't know what's got more juice in it, an orange or a lemon, but I'll look that up after the show. But I think we said a couple of weeks ago, guys like Murray and Guy are unplayable. I don't know who said that, but it was one of us. And it's clear Benji does have a lack of trust in some of those guys. But was there any other solution than, I think Alex Seyfarth played 70 minutes. Terrell May played 80. I think Sione played 80. Did he overexert some of those forwards, or was just the circumstances of those injuries in the first half?
Look, how do I word this? Firstly, I want to say Benji's changed his club. He's changed his culture. There's no arguing that. He's doing great as a coach. He's still learning. But yesterday, in my opinion, I'm agreeing with Dad here. I think his use of the interchange was terrible. I think I'll echo Dad's thoughts. I think it's going to bite us in the coming weeks if we're burning people out and have to reduce their workload during training through the week and all that sort of stuff. In saying that, the hand that he's been dealt with the injuries that we have, I understand why he has no faith in Gaia, why he has no faith in Murray. The thing for me is, if I ask all of you, how many minutes is Bunty Afoa going to play in a game? I don't think the answer is 34. Like that's how bad the interchange was yesterday. I understand we had injuries to Madden and Herbert, but if we didn't have those injuries, I still don't think Murray and Gaia come on. So yeah, I'm a little bit, I know we have the benefit of hindsight. I'm wondering what the game plan was if there was no injuries for how that bench was going to be used. Because we saw it on Tuesday that bench was terrible. I pointed it out on Tuesday. My thing with Benji's biggest error is we all know Lanyon was going to get on, whether it be at hooker or at a small ball lock. I would have had him on around the 55-minute mark. Get him on for Terrell May. Just give Terrell May about 7 minutes to breathe, and then let Terrell May come back on for Bunty. I don't mind that he would have probably only used two off the bench, being Pole and Lanyon, if there were no injuries. But for me, it's when you use the injuries. It's like I said on Tuesday, I kind of wish we started a few more of the not so great quality players and just bite the bullet, get through the first 15 minutes with a respectable scoreline, and then get the boys that can play on. Because otherwise, they're just going to get burnt out at the back end of every game. It was 36-22, and that game felt like a 4-point loss. You know what I mean? Like those tries at the end, to me, don't reflect the performance that we put out there, and that's just fatigue. So yeah, I'm a bit upset with how Benji used his bench.
So you're saying 34 minutes is too many for Bunty Jr.?
Definitely. Well, put it this way. Bunty's the same type of player as Royce Hunt. Has Royce Hunt ever tapped more than like 24, 25 minutes? And Royce Hunt's been in first grade the last couple of years. Bunty called up for a job. Like, it's just, yeah. I understand the injuries. It's just not ideal.
Okay, well, next thing Rob was raging about yesterday, Gary, we're going to go to Campbelltown Stadium because there were a couple of comments before the game. Steve was out there. You were out there. First off, what was the crowd out there yesterday, and how was it, the atmosphere?
It was just over 12,000. It was a little bit lower than what I'd like to see at our games. But if anywhere is going to be affected by a 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon kickoff, it's Campbelltown Stadium. It's the ground that we have that attracts the most young families, and at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, so many young kids are still playing sport or just finishing sport, and I think that has an impact on a crowd out there. I thought the crowd was good. I thought it was loud. The Tigers chant went up a number of times, so I thought the crowd did a good job for what was there. Like to see a few more, but I kind of get why there wasn't.
I don't want to put words in Steve's mouth because he's not on tonight, Gary, but he was quite shocked probably 20 minutes before kickoff. There was just no one in the ground. Because the Magpies were actually playing beforehand, weren't they?
Yeah, it was really empty 20, 25 minutes before the game. I thought it was going to be sub 10,000 when I kind of got in there after the ambush event. And as I said, the ambush event, like the beer shed, wasn't as packed as it has been the last couple of games there either. But I do really put that down to a lot of it, just the time slot. It's probably there's some bad time slots, and Campbelltown seems to get a lot of bad time slots. But yeah, it wasn't an ideal time slot for Campbelltown.
I don't know about that, Gary, that Campbelltown gets bad time slots. They've already had a 4 o'clock on a Sunday against Newcastle this year. Like I'd had a Thursday night game at.
Yeah, they've got an 8 o'clock Friday game now. That's a much better time slot for a place like Leichhardt Oval. It's close to the city. People can get there after work. If you're working in the city, trying to get out to Campbelltown for even an 8 p.m. kickoff, they've had 6 p.m. kickoffs out there as well over the last couple of years on the Friday night. They're just times, because of the location of where Campbelltown is, that are just difficult for that ground, in my opinion. And a 3 o'clock for a Saturday afternoon, I don't think works for Campbelltown either.
Yeah. Rob, I'm like you. I get quite fired up during the game. And my point wasn't so much the fact that the crowd was terrible because, like Gary said, 12,000 is not a bad crowd on a Saturday afternoon, given all the circumstances that he put forward. But we still can't find a way to win consistently out there because that game was in the balance. I know, like Junior said, it was a 16 point or 14 point loss in the end, but that was in the balance with 20 minutes to go. And at least on the television, I thought the crowd was really loud out there. I'm not bagging anyone who went out there yesterday, but the players don't seem to transmit the same belief at that ground. You can't deny that.
Yeah, look, I'd like this probably to be the one time we discuss Campbelltown. I think there's a lot of our fans, a lot of my friends, okay, that I'm actually like really close with that are whinging about Campbelltown and, you know, it's shit and we don't get the support there. From what I heard yesterday through the TV, the crowd was fantastic. From what I saw from our team, they gave 100% every single player. If that game was at Leichhardt Oval, we wouldn't have won the game. We lost the game because we don't have a bench. We did not lose that game because it was at Campbelltown. I know you disagree with this, Eddie, but I pointed out to you in the chat when we played the Gold Coast, who we sold out last week at Leichhardt Oval, when we played them in 2024 on a Saturday at 3 o'clock, that ground was about 2/3 full as well. It's just the poor time slot. I'm actually really happy with the crowd that went out there. Good on them for getting out there on a Saturday. I know plenty of people that couldn't make it because of that time slot. And I'm sure if it was on last night or even Friday night at 8 o'clock, I actually think we might have sold it out. But Saturday, 3 o'clock is the worst time. I know my brother-in-law and his son couldn't go because of school sport commitments. I know Shane Coatt from West Tigers Life, he had to watch his son play sport and wasn't going to make it in time. And I'm sure there's dozens of people that are in that same boat. So if you can get 12,000 out to Campbelltown on a Saturday against a team from Redcliffe in Queensland who have bugger all supporters in the Sydney, you know, Campbelltown area, I think it's a great job. And I don't want this to be a Balmain Magpies type of subject that goes on every time we win or lose at a certain place. Oh, it's Campbelltown's fault and Leichhardt's fault and whatever. If we played Penrith at Leichhardt 3 weeks ago, we would have lost 68-0. Okay, so let's cut the crap with the romance and whatever, and let's all support Leichhardt and Campbelltown and get out to both our main home grounds. And yeah, if you want to go to CommBank as well, do that. I'm sure the club wants you to as well. But this is absolutely a non-event for me, and I'm sick of people every time we lose, it's Campbelltown's fault. It's not Campbelltown's fault. We had no bench yesterday, and we were beaten by a better team.
What you do get with Leichhardt, and I go to pretty much every home game. So I go to CommBank, I go to Leichhardt, I go to Campbelltown. So I think I think I have a right to kind of say on that, and it's got nothing to do with Balmain or West for me. What is a difference at Leichhardt Oval is the intimidation factor of the ground. It's the way the crowd is on top of the field. Like, the crowd is so close there. And I was actually speaking to Shane about it today. And I said to Shane, when you go to Leichhardt Oval, the way the ground's set up and just the amphitheatre that it kind of has, apart from those couple of unit blocks that you can see up in that far corner, you can't see outside that ground. Everything is in that ground. When you go to Campbelltown, it's much more open and the sound's much more open. And what that intimidation factor does of Leichhardt is it has an effect on the referee. Without a doubt, I think you get some calls at Leichhardt Oval that you probably don't get anywhere else. But the other effect I think it does have is it intimidates the opposition. It's a loud crowd. It's a very one-eyed crowd. And I think that does have an impact on games. And I agree with you, Rob, 100%. I don't think the boys play any better if they're playing at Leichhardt Oval yesterday. But we may have not got that forward pass call when Jerome Luai went through, or maybe the crowd puts the Dolphins off their game a little bit more and they don't score as many points. That's the difference I see at the moment. It's not an anti-Campbelltown thing because I love going out to Campbelltown to watch football. It is just a different environment and a different sort of ground. And Leichhardt Oval Hill's full of drunk yobbos. You're not going to get that at Campbelltown. You're going to get young families, and that's the sort of difference. That's the difference in the environment. That's the difference in the mentality of the crowd there. And I do think that makes a difference. But I thought Campbelltown was fine yesterday.
I think you
like
might
a few
be
more people there.
missing my point a little bit. I'm not saying Campbelltown is as good as Leichhardt. For me personally, I can see the difference. What I'm saying is, as a fan base, we just need to accept it. Okay, it's just like
I don't
Jareen
disagree with
Buller's out. Jareen Buller's out next week, and Heath Mason's at fullback. Just accept it. It might not be as good, but it's your home ground, and make it as special as you can. I've seen a massive difference in Campbelltown the last couple of years. We've sold out our previous home games. We've sold out games last year and the year before, and Spoon Bowl even when, teams were coming last. I think if we're playing a team like Parramatta or Canterbury yesterday, it's probably a full house and no one's having this conversation. So I'm not trying to say, I agree with all your points here. Leichhardt can be more intimidating, and especially on the referees and certain calls and all that. I get that. But just bringing this up every time we lose, it's not the same as Balmain and Magpies, but it's like that same giving me brain cancer moment when we keep discussing it. Like, we need to move on. If you don't want to go to Campbelltown, I don't think you're a West Tiger supporter anyways. If you're out there and you deliberately don't want to go to Campbelltown, then you're an idiot, okay? And the same for those that don't want to go from Campbelltown to Leichhardt. If you've got the opportunity to go, you go. But I'm just sick of this would have happened at Leichhardt and that would have happened at Leichhardt. And let's look at the caliber of teams we're playing at Leichhardt compared to Campbelltown when we're doing comparisons as well in future.
Rob, you just need to stop listening to Eddie.
Well, I mean, he brings that up. Like, Rob can easily say we played the Broncos and the Dolphins. We started the $1.50 favourites against the Broncos at Campbelltown. Rob, the same exact price we started against the Titans.
But that's the price has nothing to do with it. We played the premiers. We played the premiers, and everyone said Adam Reynolds was the difference. Like that night, like they still have class players. The Broncos went on a run last year, Eddie, without Adam Reynolds and Ezra Mann. They had Ben Hunt and Billy Walters. Like, they always put out a good team. Like, right now they're broken. Like, the Broncos have finished. They've ended 3 losing streaks in a row with St George, with the Gold Coast, and with South Sydney. They've lost to everyone. Like, I'm not denying that. But all I'm trying to say to you, be a realist. What would the price have been for the Tigers that had your Mav Guyers and whatever the other week against Penrith? What price would we have been at Leichhardt Oval?
No, we wouldn't have won Leichhardt. We wouldn't have won it.
And the winning record is 55%. You make it sound like that's incredible. Like, it's just over 50-50.
It is for us.
55% is incredible for a 39% win club, Rob.
Well, 39%, I'm going to round that up to 40%. It's not that bad. 4 out of 10 to 5.5 out of 10. It's one game a year. It's one game a year.
Junior, you sat back, listen to all this. Rob's saying, I'm talking about romance and Balmain, and I couldn't give a shit about any of that. Like, I just want us to win. And I'm talking about it, Rob, because we got 8 or 9 games at Campbelltown next year. And I think I agree with you. There's been some great crowds the last 2 or 3 years out there. And the area deserves better, and they deserve wins out there. So what is missing, Junior? Is it just that we're playing stronger teams out there? Fine margins in game. We've lost some very narrow games over there the last couple of years.
Like Dad said, completely agree. We lost yesterday because of a lack of bench. And like I said earlier in the show, if 2 backs don't get injured, you probably would have seen Pole come on, and you might have seen another 10 minutes out of Lanyon. We would have used 16 players. Yeah, look, the crowd at Campbelltown, if you look at the numbers, it fits, I think, 18,000 roughly. We've had 15, 17, and 12 and a half. The numbers aren't bad. Like Gary pointed out, but the thing Leichhardt provides is it's just a scary place for oppositions. And it's scary as a referee. Like, mate, I've reffed under 17s and 18s there in grand finals where only the grandstand is packed out and not the hill. And you can hear every word of every supporter that's screaming at you as a referee. So, yeah, you will get the benefit of flat passes going your way, or the forward pass they threw for their second try or whatever. The crowd would have gone nuts for that. There's no way a ref lets that play on at Leichhardt because of the intimidation factor. In saying that, what Dad said is 100% right. We're a merger club. We have 2 home ground, or 3 if you're with Combank. The reality is we're going to be playing at Campbelltown. The thing I'm proud of about our fans is, even though it might have felt disappointing yesterday because we're comparing it to Leichhardt Oval last week, there's still 12,500 attend to a ground that fits 18,000 against the Dolphins, a Queensland team that none of their fans are really going to travel for on, a 3 p.m. Saturday when a lot of people are busy. I just think there's not much you can do about it. Like Dad said, you've got to accept we're going to be playing games at Campbelltown the same way we'll be playing games at Leichhardt again and just make the best of it. You can't have every home ground have a feel like Leichhardt. The only two teams that get the benefit of that is the Tigers at Leichhardt and probably Manly at Brookvale. Other than that, no one else really has that advantage. So I don't think it changed the result.
All right. Well, we get one more crack at Campbelltown. I think that's against the Warriors. So I think that will be a sellout in a month or so. I'll have to go to that game with you, Rob. I think after that back and forth we had. But let's get into some of the individual performances yesterday. Start with, we've spoken about Jerome and how good he was. But what did you make of Heath Mason? I thought he did a serviceable job coming on at halfback, essentially, for Jock Madden.
Is that directed at me, Eddie?
Yes.
Sorry, mate. I thought Heath Mason played really well. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't think they got much of a chance to find him out in defence. There was one try, I think, late in the second half where I'm not going to blame Heath Mason for shooting out of the line because he was trying to get the ball carry before he offloaded the ball. He was just too late. I thought he played really well, but again, in my heart of hearts, I know if you put him out in that three-quarter line defending, there's going to be problems. It was just a game that we had a lot more ball in, but there was not one player, as someone mentioned earlier, that had a bad game. I actually thought everyone played really, really well. Gary, I just want to touch on this. I agree, and I don't know if Eddie's going to mention it. I agree with you about Fanua Bole's mistake, but that sort of mistake reaching out for the try line, I can't sort of really get too upset by that. I know it was on the first tackle. That really hurts. But it wasn't your typical Fanua Bole, just hitting it in the breadbasket like the week before against the Titans after we scored a try, trying to ruck it out of our end. I thought that was an error where he's actually trying to score a try and change the game as opposed to just a simple error where he lost the ball. In fact, it might have even been stripped out and the refs didn't even pick it up.
I'll add to that on that error. That was stripped out, and you're allowed to strip with multiple people in the tackle in the process of scoring the try. The thing is, when he stripped it out, he's knocked it on. We still should have had the ball back from that. I understand it seems to be a typical Bole trend, but yeah, he's trying to score a try first of all, and I think we got dudded there with that call as well. So, sorry, Gary.
To be fair, I actually think Pole's been incredibly strong the last 2 weeks. He was great again yesterday. It was more a little bit of a dig in humour, but I want to see him eliminate errors from his game anyway.
Where do we go next week, Junior? Because like one of the boys mentioned, it was quite ironic that the 1 week we shoved Latu back to State Cup to get some game time. We needed him there in the halves, but if Dewey's back, who's your backup there on the bench? Is it Jock Madden if he's fit, or is it Latu again, or do you stick with Heath Mason on the six-man bench?
I think it's Latu. I think Heath Mason did a great job yesterday. And the time that Dad spoke about where he shot up out of the line, I'm sure you'll get into with Adel on the next show. But I actually don't think that was Mason's fault. I think it's Macassini who was outside him at the time that wasn't going up with him. Look, if AD's fit, AD comes straight back in. I'm hearing AD's not going to be fit next week. If he's not fit, then Latu's the 7 and Mason sits on the bench. I think, is Jock going to be stood down with protocol and all that sort of stuff with that concussion?
Yeah,
so if Jock's down and so Jock's not going to be in the team next week. I think if AD's back, I don't want Mason on the bench by himself. I'd still have Latu on the bench just in case AD aggravates that injury again. I don't think we want Mason coming on at 7 over Latu, although I did think Mason had a great game yesterday.
Senior, some of the outside backs yesterday. Jereen Buller was busy as usual. Stafford Toa, I thought, had a strong game, scored a really good try. Was there any standouts in the 1 to 5?
1 to 5, Jereen Buller. I thought he was fantastic. Toa, as he said, that try he scored, he basically beat 5 players, which, wouldn't have thought that could happen a few weeks ago. I thought Herbert was doing all right till he came off. Obviously, the Farnworth try looked a little bit easy. Taruva had an unlucky moment. I don't know if this is what I talk about bad luck. When the Dolphins were up 6-0, they did a backline shift to the left in attack, and they throw a pass behind everyone. It's a shocking pass, and the ball sits up, and unfortunately, Taruva's doing the right thing, and he's got eyes on Nafanu, but that ball pops up, and if he just picks it up, he's running away down the field, and the Dolphins get a scrum and a few tackles later, they score the try to tie it up at 6-all. They're the little moments that bug me. But really, all the backs played well. Even Macassini, I know he knocked the ball on, which, the referee didn't see. But I thought Macassini was quite admirable as well. I like I said earlier, I just can't fault anyone. And that's what is really hurting me about this season, because we lost and kind of everyone played really well. It's just we're not good enough and we don't have a bench. And, I don't know if you're going to touch on team changes later, anything next week, Eddie, but I think what has masked our problems on the bench is the fact that Terrell May and Alex Twal play such big minutes, and they're capable of doing that. But when you lose Twal, then you basically need two players to replace him, and you don't even get that same quality back. So you put it this way, if we have Alex Twal yesterday, we win that game, and you're not talking about Campbelltown or Leichhardt. Let me throw that back in your face, okay? Just one player. Give me Twal yesterday. There's 80 minutes on the field, and I think we're fine.
Well, I like how you brought that game up from 2024 at Leichhardt when we got a poor crowd against the Gold Coast. That was coming off a 10-game losing streak and 2 wooden spoons, but we won't go there anymore. Gary, what did you think of our outside backs?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Rob. I think they all kind of played to their ability. Stafford Toa, since he's moved to the wing, has been really strong. I was close to putting a red pen through him, but that try he scored yesterday was absolutely outstanding. Jerome Luai created him a lot of space, got him one-on-one, and it was the cover defense he beat coming across. But, yeah, he was really strong yesterday. And Dream Buller is just so safe at the back. He is such a weapon. Again, he got into try-scoring positions from attacking bombs yesterday. He's going to another level all the time. So, yeah, I was really happy with the outside backs yesterday.
Junior, your take on the outside backs, and what changes do you make next week with Herbert obviously out injured?
Yeah, I thought like I said earlier,
I don't know how to mute myself on StreamYard, so I just had to sneeze.
You're right. Like I said earlier, not just the outside backs, but everyone in the team gave it everything yesterday, and they all played great. One thing I will say about our outside backs is I know he did make that error that Dad spoke about, Macassini, with the knock-on and stuff like that, and I get he made a poor defensive decision when he was at right centre, which he's never played before. But for me, guys, I think with the depth that we have in the outside backs, with Tavana and Laulii playing in the reserves, I wouldn't be playing Macassini in first grade again this year. We spoke about not getting Latu enough reps in his position at halfback in cup and things like that when we had the chance to. For me, I'm letting Macassini play cup at left centre for the rest of the year and letting him develop and bringing him back into first grade. I feel like when he's in first grade, he just looks a little bit nervous, which I didn't see in the first few games until his confidence got shot after that Broncos game. So I'm letting him build that up. In terms of next week, I'll trust Benji with the team. Again, I don't know who's available, who's not. If Herbert's out, well, I'm assuming Taruva or Toa are going to go into the centres. It'd probably be Toa at right centre with Taylor May at left centre.
I don't agree.
Who are you going at centre then?
I think I could be way off here. I think Taylor moves to right centre, or he puts Toa at right centre and he leaves Macassini on the left wing. He's not moving Taruva off the right wing. Taruva's going to stay on that right wing. And I think it's just a matter of the combination, and you can alternate them however you want with May, Macassini, and Toa. Whether, one's in 2, one's in 3, one's in 4, I don't know. But you might see Macassini in the centres, you might not. But I think it's Macassini or Toa in the centres and one of them on the wing. And as to which side, if Macassini does play centre, Macassini would be left centre, which would shift May to the right. I don't see any of those reserve graders coming back up, Rob.
And that's how unlucky we've been. I think it was a stroke of genius from Benji putting Toa on the left wing, and now he's probably going to be forced to move him to centre, where we see a lot of his poor defensive decisions made and things like that. Look, I have my reservations about Macassini defending at centre. I'm not saying it's as bad as Toa defending at right centre. I feel like defensively, when shapes run his way, it looks like he's guessing a lot of the time. I could be completely wrong. That's just my take on it.
Gary, what changes would you make next week?
Look, I'm going to continue on with that discussion around around the centre. I'm playing Toa at centre. I'm doing what we did yesterday, and Macassini goes over to that left wing. I haven't been happy with Toa at centre the last couple of months. I'm hoping that the good form he has shown over the last 2 weeks has picked up his confidence a little bit. He seems to be a confidence player. So I hope that makes a difference. I don't think Macassini's ready to play in the centres yet. So I would be playing him, but I'll be playing him on the wing. I think he's better suited there. Playing him outside Taylor May, playing him outside Jerome Luai. That's a really strong defensive edge for most of the time. Sione playing in the second row weakens that edge a little bit defensively. But I think Macassini's best option at the moment, playing in first grade, is on that left wing, playing outside Luai and Taylor May.
Rob Senior, did we have a standout in the forward pack yesterday? Obviously, that was a makeshift back row, but I thought Tony Sucre acquitted himself well. Sione and Seyfarth both played big minutes.
You'd be surprised. Again, I haven't looked at the stats or anything. Like, I've done a 3-2-1 on the eye, but my best forward was Fanua Bole. And I know I've bagged him a lot over the years, but just from what I could see, the vigour that he ran with, he played really big minutes. He looked a threat every time he got the ball. And I thought he defended pretty well. But again, I haven't done my homework on the stats. I'm a late inclusion for Steve, so I haven't done my homework tonight. But yeah, I thought Fanua was great. Appy was solid without being noticeable, but you know, when he needed to pull a trigger and make a run, he took off, and I thought he was going to do what he did on Latrell. But I think the Dolphins fullback Trey Fuller had seen that and realised what he was about to throw at him, and was onto it. So Appy was great. And I know Terrell missed some tackles. I know Terrell, unfortunately, got in the middle of potential backline shapes at time, and definitely kind of needs to know where his lane is and where it isn't. I just can't bag the bloke for effort. Like, if he's been on for nearly 80 minutes, he must have done, at least 45, 50 tackles, and he's an absolute machine. But I'm starting to see some errors just from all those minutes he's playing. But Terrell was great, although I would accept that there'd be people out there saying, he made too many mistakes for their liking.
That was one thing, Gary, that I was watching it with a mate at West Ashfield, and I don't know, do you blame Haas for that? Because there seemed to be a few times almost in the red zone where he'd get the ball in the fourth tackle and almost take a hit up when you thought something might be on, left or right.
Yeah, he does need to get out of the way a little bit, but we've also seen him offload in those sort of situations as well. So it's a difficult one. I agree with Rob. I know I had a go at Paulo earlier, but the last 2 weeks has been his best football of the year. I think it shows that he is better starting on the bench and coming on at that first change around the 20-minute mark against slightly tired forwards in the middle. I think his footwork through the middle is a lot more damaging in that situation, and I think we saw that yesterday. I was quite impressed with him. Alex Seyfarth, I want to give a shout out as well. I'm always very critical of Alex, but the last 2 weeks, I think we've seen some quality football from him. He's having a real go. He's actually driving that line speed like Alex Cole usually does when he's out on the field. So there's a lot of effort coming from him, and I've been quite happy with him as well.
Junior, any different takes on our forward pack? Otherwise, you could just give us a 3-2-1 for yesterday.
No, I think the one thing I do want to just add to what the boys have said is, granted, it wasn't a probably 10 out of 10 performance from Terrell. I still think the performance that he gave was better than what any other forward produced. I just think that what Pole produced yesterday is way above his standard, and then Terrell a little bit below what his standard is still better. I just think Terrell was still great yesterday. Like, he had so many tackles. He had 2 missed tackles only. Granted, they were both for tries in the middle, but he was asked to play 80 minutes with no bench. In regards to 3-2-1, I got 3 points to Jerome Luai. I think it speaks for himself with all those try assists, and I'll give 2 points to Jareem Buller. There's a million people I could give 1 point to. I'm not going to give 1 point. I'm just going to acknowledge the efforts of Pole, Bunty, like busting out 34 minutes. Again, he shouldn't be playing 34 minutes, but he played great. 8 runs, 88 meters. Like, he was really good yesterday. So, yeah.
Senior, your best yesterday?
My best was Jerome Luai. He had a hand in, both those first two tries. What I loved about the grubber kick try for Sione Fainu, and I guess I'll put this down to a bit of coaching, is the deception of having Taylor May standing out the back, because they thought we were running it and they thought that big pass was coming through, and we never put grubber kicks for our lead runners. So that was like really good coaching and sort of identification there. Jareem Buller gets my 2 points. He's just a threat every time he gets the ball. Unlucky not to score a try off a bomb yesterday, where he got held up by about 4 or 5 Dolphins players. Credit to them. But again, I don't know what his stats are like. They probably don't look crash hot, but yeah, he's amazing. And I've already said my 1 point to Fanua Bole. But I do agree with Robbie. I'm not saying that's not Fanua Bole's standard. I actually think it should be his standard, but I agree in the fact that almost every week I think Terrell May's our best forward. But we notice so much, and he's going to make more mistakes because his output is way higher than anyone else that we've got.
Gaz, who did you come up with?
Well, it's a fairly boring pod because I think we're all kind of going the same way with the 3-2-1. I'm Jerome Luai. I thought he was absolutely outstanding yesterday, and it wasn't just in attack. Some of his work early in that game defensively. He caused a knock on early in the game when the Dolphins were pressuring our line. He actually picked up a little bit of a shoulder issue at some point and still went in hard in defense. So I was really impressed with him, not just in attack, his defense and his leadership. I thought was outstanding yesterday as well. A lot of people have been criticizing his demeanor lately. I think he's put that to bed the last 2 weeks. He's up for this side. He's pumping this side up, and he's leading this side really well. Dream Buller is, as I said earlier, was just outstanding. So he gets the 2 for me. And yeah, I agree. Pole for the 1. So I'm exactly the same as Senior there, which is just a little disappointing for me.
Guys, I'll just mention as well, sorry, because I know we all went Pole with the 1, but I'm actually going to change to Bunty. And just for this, I want to give him a special shout out. Like I said, 34 minutes played, guys absolutely puffing, 28 tackles, 0 missed. That was a big effort from him yesterday. So I think he really needs to be commended on that for someone who hasn't played first grade for a couple of years and was asked to play 34 minutes yesterday in the middle against a team that was absolutely rucking out like crazy and throwing a lot at us. That's a very good effort from him.
And he was very ragged, like defensively towards the end of one of those stints. He was absolutely gassed. I can't remember which stint it was, but he needed to come off the field. But yeah, not to miss any tackles in that state. He did really well.
Rob Senior, it's we're 7-7 now. I assume we're still sitting in 10th or 11th spot. A couple of teams below us getting wins this week in the Storm and the Bulldogs. I know it's a weekly topic, but are we still a realistic chance of making the 8th, or is it sort of a puncher's chance now? I feel like it's almost like you said a couple of times. Once we drop below 50%, I think that's almost curtains, even though I still think we can get to 10 or 12 wins. I think next week's really big if we get AD and 12 back.
My dear friend Adel is going to tear me to shreds on the next show without me having a right of reply. But I'm just giving next week up. I know Newcastle played poorly Friday night, but that's without Ponga. Okay, I'm giving some of these other guys some minutes. I'm putting Twal and AD on ice and putting all my eggs into the St. George game basket. If we win the St. George game, we're back to 8-8. I'm going to say something pretty ludicrous as well, guys, and it's not going to happen, obviously, because
you've said a couple of ludicrous things this weekend, so keep going.
Well, if you want to go back and return serve on being ludicrous, we played the Gold Coast at the start of 2023 round 1 to a sellout crowd off the back of Wooden Spoon as well at Leichhardt. Happened to be a Sunday 6:15 p.m. game, but if we want to go back on that,
I thought you didn't want to talk about this anymore, Rob.
He's been triggered now.
He said we played him on a back of 10 losses in a row. We come off a Wooden Spoon, like it's the same thing. I don't even know what I was talking about, but yeah, okay. I've remembered now. So I just want to say, and it's not going to happen, unfortunately, but if you got Sam Weller and Kai Pearce-Paul and Alex Twal in that starting team, we're not losing to anyone. Like, seriously, that pack is so fucking good, and that's what's burning me about this season. We might get 2 of them back, but I think we just got to be smart about this. And, I don't want anything going wrong next week with Newcastle. I'm happy to just cop the loss. I do think Benji's got to be really prudent with some of his selections. I don't disagree, Gary, about possibly starting Toa, as in that's his natural position, right centre. I look at it that Newcastle's left edge with guys like Dylan Lucas, you probably have Fletcher Sharp at 5'8", Bradman Best, Ponga chiming in, Marju. I think you need your best sort of defensive guys there. So I'd have Suka on that right with Taylor May there and Taruva. I think that's going to handle that better. I'm not saying the other side are slouches with Dane Gagai and Dom Young there, but I just think that's the side that Newcastle like attacking with. So I'd like to see Taylor May there. But we're not out of it, boys. We're not out of it. We've just got to beat St George. I wrote off the Dolphins game, and like Rob Jr. said, they absolutely shocked me, and we could have got that win. We were in it with 15 minutes to go. But I just thought we spent a lot of petrol on that game yesterday, and I don't want it to come back and bite us against St George. If we have to lose next week and give some other guys some minutes against Newcastle, so be it. I don't think Adam's going to be right for next week. Hopefully he's right for the week after. But bring Adam, bring Twal back in. It's definitely more winnable than what it looks like. Because right now, I'm actually going to say Saints would probably beat us.
Gary, your take on all that?
Mate, I'm never giving up on a game. Eddie says it to me all the time. Let's just rest half the side. Mate, it's a game of football. Like, you don't know what Newcastle's going to show up at last week. And I'm not going to sit here and look for... I'll discuss dangers in Newcastle, but I'll also look for reasons why we can win. And I think... don't know if AD will be back, and I'll trust you guys on saying that you don't think he will be, but he was in the squad leading into this game, so he must be getting close. If we can get AD and Twal back next week, I can't say that we're no chance. Twal makes such a difference to this side, and Newcastle's having a good season, but I really do believe if we've got those guys back, we're a chance up at Newcastle. And for me, whenever you're a chance, if we can get a win next week, that puts us back in front of 50% again. We're at 50% now, and that's how you build towards that push towards the semifinals. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm confident we'll make the semis, but you don't win the semis by giving games up and going there with half a squad. We're not in a position to do that. We need to get out on the field and get the wins that we can.
What I'm saying is I don't want to see 15 or 16 players used next week. I want to see 17 players used next week. And if we get tailed up, we get tailed up. Give some other bloke a guy in cup or whatever that's a middle forward or whatever. Give him 20 minutes, give him 15 minutes, give him something. Preserve some of these guys that we're going to need for St George. That's all I'm saying. Of course, you don't go in and forfeit a game to anyone. You still put your best team. But I want a bench use. If we're not going to use a bench, then our season is over right now. I'm telling you straight up. We need to have a bit of faith in the bench because you just can't play with 13 players in a game that's built now for 19 players.
I will say, I do tend to agree that if they could have got Terrell off for some weeks, getting him off for 5 to 7 minutes does make a difference. He does come back on with better impact. So if they could have put someone like Charlie Murray on for 5 to 10 minutes to get him a bit more of a break, that's what we need to do, because I don't want to see him playing 80 minutes either.
Junior, where do you think we land the rest of the season at the moment? Did yesterday change anything for you, or are we still on track to potentially get those 6 out of the last 10, which will or should get us in?
I don't want to be too negative. I don't know if 6 out of 10 will win. Like, this comp's so tight. I feel like 8's going to be on at least 32 points. I've had a look at the draw, see who's playing who, and the results that can go either way, but I'm not the greatest tipper in the world. If they do go the way that I'm saying, then yeah, 32, even 34, like with the teams and the way the draw works out. One thing I will say that's positive is I don't care if we play 13 next week. I think we're going to win. Actually thinking of skipping the pod next week. I might go to Newcastle and watch it. You can book a win in for us, boys. And I'll tell you why. We're speaking about players like Pole and Seyfarth and saying how great they've been the last 2 weeks. And I think that's a result of Benji stressing to them how important this next stretch of 3 or 4 games is for us. And yeah, I get we're squeezing the lemon or the orange or whatever the fuck you want to call it dry. But I'm telling you now, I don't care if we're versing 13 Kalen Pongas next week. All right? We're winning next week. Book it.
All right,
And that's what everyone needs to hear. Okay, you're just not going to hear it from me.
No, and we didn't hear it from you in round 3 against the Warriors, and you still owe me a lot of petrol.
Yeah, and you can hang on. You can hang on that round 3 for the rest of the season. I'm telling you, when we've got our full pack, we're beating most teams every week. We're not beating 17 players with 15 next week.
If Adam and Twal are playing next week, book it.
I can't
Something about that red room, Gary. It's brought out the fire back in Rob. I thought he'd mellowed the last year or two, but not so. He's back.
Yeah, maybe just because he's been sick all week, he's just cranky and moody. So we've been hearing it all week.
Yeah, it doesn't help when you guys come on 20 minutes before the game and start complaining about Campbelltown. And I'm thinking, come on, man, give us a go. You're whinging about the crowd already. Like that. So I'm going to blame you, and in particular, Steve Stratton, okay? I'm not going to let him off lightly. He's the one that came on firing about Campbelltown.
Well, there you go. The shot's fired. Steve will, I'm sure he'll have his right of reply on Tuesday, boys, but I think we'll leave it there. Rob, to Robs and Gary, thank you for joining us. And Senior, hopefully we'll be back to preview the Tuesday game at Mic'd Up.
Yeah, we are locked into
Tuesday game, but the Sunday game on Tuesday.
No, we're definitely back at Mic'd Up on Tuesday. I've confirmed that with Daniel already. There was actually nothing at Mic'd Up Studios today. Daniel had a family emergency, but we are definitely back there on Tuesday in your favourite habitat, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm going to bring my boxing gloves, I think, this time.
And do you have a new bed or something, Eddie? Like it looks different this time.
Yeah, the spare bed's been replaced by a mattress now that's standing upside down. So I thought I'd just mix it up this week just for you, Gary.
I thought you were starting to soundproof that room.
You could, yeah. I'm hoping we don't have to do too many more on StreamYard, but I think the background's a little bit more acceptable than it was last time. So, boys, thanks for joining us. Stick around if you're watching online. We'll have coaches report in about 5 minutes' time.
Thanks, boys. Go the Tigers.
Thanks, boys.